Hey, what's up, La Familia? You crazy football-loving nutters. This is Ray Hudson, and you are luxuriating in listening to the Inter Miami podcast with the stupefyingly magnificent Jay and Alex. Two lads who are as electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub. Stay tuned, because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be magisterial with an amplifier.
To the left, Pellegrini, inside, Pizarro Golazo, Pizarro Golazo! Here's the goal scorer, Morgan! And he's done it again! Lewis Morgan with his second of the match! Higuain will have the goal! And he's framed the top 90! It's a sensational first goal for Gonzalo Higuain!
Friday games, am I right?
You're right.
What a day, man. I mean, like, the fans are already rambunctious as it is, but you just roll them straight out of a work week. There is no holding back.
There's a reason we don't have too many of these Friday games, because we might just have to deem everyone the blackout game.
Yeah, I forgot they marketed that. Man, was that a fun time though? Even though we didn't get the result. The fan experience, second to none, man. Second to none.
Absolutely an blast. I don't know if you saw, we were over by the siege. There's a video going around of this absolute lunatic jumping from the top of his Jeep, pure Buffalo Bills style, and just smashing a table, bouncing up like he was 16 years old.
I'm trying to figure out why use Buffalo Bill in that situation, but there was no padding underneath it. Buffalo Bill's the murderer from Silence of the Lambs. I don't know if he was like a hardcore.
No, Bill's Mafia.
Oh, okay, yeah, the Bill's Mafia. Yes, that is highly accurate. Except I feel like they do theirs in a field and not on just the asphalt. But there was no pillows, there was nothing, and he jumped off the top of a Jeep. And I think we were just sitting there like trying to talk to people, like just in a normal conversation. And then we just like hear a bunch of people yelling and look over, and it happened like a second later. I'm happy we were there to see it.
Yeah, what was even more surprising was just like, oh, that's just Teddy again up there.
Just got up and walked it right off.
Yes, sir. It was a blast. And with that, welcome everybody to the Inter Miami podcast. This is Alex Papa George, joined like always with Mr. Jay Kington, coming off one hell of a weekend. Yeah, I think hell and weekend absolutely sums it all up here.
Yeah, it was. This Monday's been a bit rough, man.
Yeah, and July's not gonna slow down any way whatsoever.
We're gonna have a Wednesday game.
When are we having the Wednesday game?
It's like 2 days before my birthday.
Oh boy.
There's a game 2 days after my birthday, so it's just gonna be, the whole week's gonna be a whammy. But same energy, bringing midweek. That Thursday's gonna be tough.
Thursday's going to be tough, but we just got to do it. So like, I guess we should start preparing now.
We do this for the community.
Yeah.
It's not like we enjoy putting our livers through this.
Yeah. We do this for all of you.
I mean, this is how you end up with Hot Pockets on your bathroom floor.
Told you that in confidence.
I'm assuming like a pepperoni. What was it?
Stromboni,
just red sauce everywhere. What a sweet gift to leave your significant other to find after your super responsible night with just Hot Pockets in the bathroom.
Yeah. Not the best conversation in the morning, more just sheer disappointment.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
She was just like, dude, you're 30 years old. What in the hell are you doing with Hot Pockets in the bathroom in the first place?
I just love this story because you're you're such a healthy eater. Like, this man will only eat like grilled chicken and vegetables, and no, like you send him to a blackout game. Now he's just balls deep in a Hot Pocket.
There's no telling what I was doing with that Hot Pocket.
Jesus. So this is a family podcast.
Oh,
wrong type of Hot Pocket.
Well, if there is anyone listening to this podcast, like actually, I know there's a few people because they were coming up to us. We went to an after party and damn, man, you would have thought we won the game. This was absolutely bumping at a local bar right next to Jay's. We were on the way back from the...
We have to preface it with what it was and what it is. Okay, so the place he's talking about has been a local establishment for probably decades. Okay, we used to play quite a bit of pool together during lunch or on the weekend, whatever, just hanging out. And there's this pool hall right around the corner from my house called Miss Q's. And this was like your traditional old Florida kind of bar, you know, where like the beers are $2.50, they're drinking whiskey straight, and they're probably
65-year-old waitress.
Yeah, and everyone in that place probably smokes two packs of cigarettes a day, right? Very old Florida, classy. I guess we haven't really been back there since the coronavirus pandemic happened. And in that time, I was told that the owner sold it to these two brothers who owned this little Latin restaurant across the street. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. They repainted the building, like trying to make it more appealing on the outside, but fully expect it's the same just old Florida bar. So we decide, like, you know, we're out of the stadium, but we've had such a good night. We're like, whatever. Both our significant others are busy. Let's go to Miss Q's, just hang out, shoot some pool. Cool. We do it. We pull up and Alex is like, oh man, like why? I wonder why that dude has an Inter Miami shirt on outside. And I'm like, dude, shut up. Like there's not going to be any Inter Miami fans here. This is like the most ratchet old Florida place we could ever be. Anyway, out of like top 10 things that I would expect to happen there, what we experienced was definitely not one of them. We opened the door expecting to see many open tables and maybe 6 people inside. Hell no, dude. That was like 200 people deep, out of their minds. That's the preface. I'm gonna let Alex go ahead and roll with the rest.
It was air horns all night. It was nuts to step in there, and it's been a little bit of time since I had stepped on the beach, or as they call South Beach down there, and felt like I was walking right into the Latin Live, to be honest with you. There was dancing on the tables. We had playing pool games for money. We got the waitresses were running around doing the best that they possibly could, but they were just sheerly overran by numbers. And Jay and I just looked at each other and we said, "We're home.
We're home. This is good." It was like, I think every supporters group, maybe like one wasn't there, but just absolute mad psychopaths who just came from, probably, to be fair, 3 to 4 hours of tailgating and pre-gaming, followed up by 2 hours of heavy drinking at a game, and then just rolls over to what is probably now the hottest pool hall in Florida. I mean, you name another that gets that wild.
I'd challenge anyone to let us know who gets that lit at a pool bar like that. Big shout out to Jose. He is one of the owners and was actually DJ Jose up there playing all the music for everybody getting down.
So he's living his best life. He's like, you know what? I'm pretty sure they're like, their father actually owned the restaurant until like they kind of took over or whatever and ended up purchasing this. So this dude's probably just been working at this restaurant. I was like, you know what, man, like my whole life I've just wanted to be a DJ. Man, I'm going to buy that pool hall, just kind of tear down the bar, set up my own DJ booth. And we walk in there, and my man is straight throwing down, living his best life.
Was there a little piece of jealousy from DJ Snowflake when we walked in there?
I mean, DJ Kentucky's Most Wanted had a little bit of jealousy that would not be a bad way to spend your life.
Maybe he'll let you get up and spin on the 1s and 2s.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't touched anything remotely similar to that since college, but wild Friday into the Friday morning, man. Had such a blast after this game. We're actually in high spirits, even though we did come out with the L, because La Familia makes everything so special. But let's go ahead and recenter. Okay, never mind. One more tangent item.
There is one more tangent item, Jade. Not going to let you forget it. We, in pure Inter Miami podcast fashion, had one hell of a show lined up for all you boys and girls out there on Friday. We were ready to go. We had our participants. We had our games lined up. We had our little setting studio lined up, ready to roll. And what happened, Jay?
Well, as I prefaced on the previous episode, that we did get some new equipment, so bear with us if there is any technical difficulties with this new equipment. And you know what? The manufacturer's instructions lied to me. It said if it had a blue light, it was fully charged, and if it had a red light, it was dead. So we opened it up, the day before, 2 days before, something like that. Blue light. All right, we're good, man. We're good.
We were pretty pumped, too.
Throw it in the whip. We'll be good. And then maybe after about 45 seconds of our live show, it just went to red light. It was dead. No sound.
We were good on the test run. We were good a few days before. You know, I had told you this, but Sherry was like, dude, like, charge this before you guys do this.
I thought the same thing, and I was like, no.
There is no chance I told her that the show did not continue because she's not on Instagram right now. So she hasn't even asked. So we're just going to go ahead and push that underneath the rug.
Yeah, I felt pretty dumb and pretty bad about that. But we were able to charge it in the car in the meantime and put together a little after show, if you will. But let's go ahead and jump into some news around the team. What kind of items we're going to be discussing today, buddy?
Yeah, not too much going around the world of Inter Miami. We're going to cover our last match against Orlando City in the Copa del Sol round 5 that unfortunately did not go our way, and a look ahead, a little sneak peek action for this next week's game against Montreal. But before we do, a little bit of team news. First being, we had a Pizarro signing, Jay. We saw Pizarro for the first time out there since May 12th, where he actually played 1 minute against Cincinnati. That was the last time that he actually saw any PT. He had 1 minute of playing time, and prior to that was actually in Montreal, which was on May 12th. That's about a month and a half of time that we have not seen our designated player out there. And Can you say it was good to see him out there?
Yeah. I mean, it was reassuring, I guess, because we've assumed he's been really injured, but then he gets called up for the Mexican Gold Cup team. So, I mean, he's still here, which is good, I guess, with just the preliminary roster. It's a little strange having that much money come off the bench between both Gonzalo and Pizarro. But again, I mean, it's also been a game the previous game we didn't have Gonzalo at all. So it was nice to see them come on, and that might have been the impact that we needed.
Do you think that there's anything additional to look into with Jade Chapman getting the start over Pizarro and then even bringing Pizarro into the second half? Is there anything to look more into that, or is that just the way that it happened and we're giving an opportunity to Jay and see if he can roll with it?
Well, I think Jay has had some impressive moments, but hasn't really been able to stand out as this would be the new number 10. But I think that this was probably one of his best games, if not his best game that he played for us. He had a solid chance in the first 5 minutes. I'm still want to see what's this team going to do? Everyone and their mother and their grandmother knows that Pizarro's not a 10 and he plays on the wing. So are we going to keep trying to force him to do that? Are we starting to recognize that, hey, maybe we should have some sort of Pizarro and Shea rotation? And I mean, Shea's versatile, so he could put Breck, anywhere really on that left side. But I was impressed because I think the thing that we're lacking the most, I actually discussed this on the Ball is Round, which is the Montreal Club de Foot podcast yesterday, is that until we can identify that number 10 and have a true number 10 to allow Pizarro to truly run free, I don't know if we're ever going to get the maximum Pizarro potential that everyone wants to see.
Yeah, and then that's bearing the question of, will we ever get to that point of having a true striker out there?
You mean number 10?
Oh, I'm sorry, CIM, yeah.
I mean, it's tough. We're going to have to figure out something this season and maybe make some changes in the offseason. If, we decide to not extend Matuidi or anything like that, then we could, in theory, roll in another number, or DP rather, not number 10, but a DP in that spot. Or we could just pick up Pellemesi. So we still don't really know exactly how that's going to play out. But Gat asked a question about, Pizarro and Gonzalo's chemistry and why that hasn't really developed. And I think we're dealing with the situation where we've got injuries, not being fit, but not being able to play in their true positions and develop that natural chemistry. I feel like we're trying to create more of a forceful chemistry with playing Pizarro as the creator and Gonzalo as the finisher, which finally, I mean, that's where Gonzalo needs to be, is the finisher. Whereas last season we saw him as more of a creator. So at least we're kind of right on one of those, but we still need to correct that second one.
You're absolutely right. We would have thought that both of these players would have played a little bit better off of one another. But when you look at it, these two players haven't really been on the pitch at the same time for all that long too.
Exactly.
And I don't know if that's, I mean, again, I guess it's a whole hogwash of a lot of certain things, which is more conditioning, injuries, tactical, disconnects, however you want to look at it. They have not gotten on the same page ever. And at this point, it's just a big question mark. Will they ever get on the same page?
Will they have enough time, before one's out? I will say shout out, even though a lot of people have some animosity towards Gonzalo and the stupid cigarette comment he made, we're looking at 5 goals this season with 8 games played. So really not bad. Really, really not bad, especially considering last season where he just had 1 goal. But then that's where everything kind of falls off. We got Federico with 1 goal, Lewis Morgan with 1 goal, Robbie Robinson with 1 goal, Breck Shea with 1 goal. And that's it. We've only had 5 players score, and 4 of those have only put in 1 goal. So someone else is going to have to step up in that. That's what you're looking towards a Pizarro to do.
Yeah, right now he's actually tied for 8th in the league in total goals scored with 5 on the year, as you mentioned. So we need more of that. Offense is not our strong suit. It never has been for this club, and we can lean on him to perform and, really kind of produce that offense, and it hasn't happened so far.
Yeah, it's been tough. And the other kind of upsetting piece of news is that Jovan Jones was injured, and he will be out of the at least initial Gold Cup rounds with Trinidad and Tobago. So who knows what the timetable looks like on that. I think it's probably getting evaluated, early this week. So we will keep an eye on that. But nice change of pace guy coming in, off the back and pretty versatile throughout the midfield as well. But we're going to be out probably at least a couple weeks, I would imagine.
Someone you can count on, a reliable player that has been in the MLS for quite some time. And, I guess this brings us to the point in the show where we really got to talk about our 1-2 loss against Orlando City, our rival, where really they had their entire team back. They had Chris Mueller playing out there, which was a little bit more unexpected with the Gold Cup coming around and not sure where he was going to check in on national duties. But they also have Daryl DK back, as we know, and this team is off to a rocking start. Actually, last week they played 3 total games, picked up 9 points, and had 10 total goals scored over that week in totality. That is a bang up job. And obviously they're excited to have Daryl back as well. So, unfortunately for us, this loss bumps us down to the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference with, you guessed it, still 8 points and a new record of 2 wins, 6 losses, and 2 ties. We have not earned a single point since May 16th. And unfortunately for us, that team that we beat, that second match that we have won this year, Cincinnati, they just jumped ahead of us in the standings with their win last weekend against Toronto, which kind of shows you the talent level that Toronto's up when we're kicking their butts over that little break in time. And then Cincinnati's going there and rocking their world. So fortunately, it's dropped our per goal average a game sub 1. We are now sitting at 0.8 averaged goals per match.
It's not the number we want, man. It really isn't. And speaking of Orlando, people are calling this the best week in the club's history to have that result with that many goals as well. So just really, really all around impressive. You mentioned that they have basically all their weapons, right? They had Nani, they had DK, Pereira, Chris Mueller, Tesho Akindele, even made it. And then you look at our lineup, and we're out 2 of our, I'd say, most important DPs in Pizarro and Gonzalo, who's not in the starting lineup. And then giving the reins to Carranza, who hasn't really got as much experience as he needs, as much game time as he needs. And then Chapman trying to take over that number 10 role. We had a Yoya come in because Gregory was out, and McCoon just gets another start, which I'm not in any way upset about that. But we knew it was going to be a tough game. And, impressively enough, statistically, we really did not do as bad as we have in the past. So just to run through these stats real quick, from overall possession, Orlando had 53% and we had 47%, which is a massive increase from our most recent games. As far as total shots on goal, we had 10 with only 3 being on target. Orlando had 11 with 6 of those being on target. Now we get to fouls. We both had 9. We both had 3 yellow cards. We had no red cards this game, which is always beautiful. Each team had 1 offside. We had 5 corner kicks. They had 4. And we had, or I guess not we, but McCarthy had 4 saves, whereas Orlando, not with or without Gillespie, I will say, with their backup keeper, still 2 saves. But overall, given the circumstances and the way Orlando City has been playing, hats off to the boys for being able to not completely get blown out of the water in any of these stats. And I mean, there were some really, really impressive things that happened in this game. Several of them, I think there are several positive takeaways from this outside of a loss. I know everyone's upset. They want the win. Some of the fans were pretty upset, but I saw some positives. Did anything stand out to you in this game?
You know, it was a pretty even match. And I think the only thing, as you were actually talking there, I was bouncing around the MLS.com. And yeah, actually, I do have a stat that stands out the most to me. We are no longer first in the league in yellow cards. What?
I don't like that stat.
What? We got to go regain our title.
We gotta, come on, LGP. What the hell, man?
I mean, I'm looking back right now, and I mean, 3 yellow cards, guys, just simply isn't going to get this done.
I mean, to be fair, LGP did stay consistent with 1, but I mean, you know, hey, Blaze and Victor stepping up, trying to help out the cause, man. I support it.
You're right. We didn't have the bash bro of Gregory out there, but for all you wondering, who is the new leader in the MLS with yellow cards? Care to take a guess? I'll give you a hint. We beat them.
We beat them. Okay, so I'm gonna go with FC Cincinnati.
No.
Philadelphia. Really? Damn. You figure like they're playing from behind, so just foul everybody out of frustration. But okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Philadelphia sitting in that top spot for yellow cards. And actually, as I jump over to the standings, looks like Philadelphia is actually sitting right behind Orlando in the Supporters Shield race in the 6th slot. So right now, to bring everybody up to that race in the Supporters Shield, we have Seattle number 1 with 25 points, Kansas City 23, New England Revs with 23 as well, LA Galaxy with 21, and Orlando City with 21 as well. So that's the race right now for the Supporters Shield.
But notably, Orlando City has 1 more game to play. They have a game in hand over the Revs, over the Union, over the Sounders, and over Sporting Kansas City. So in theory, they have a solid chance to kind of leapfrog everyone in the East for that number 1 spot and get tucked in right below Seattle. So keep an eye on that. And it only took 5 years for them to get on their feet. So, you know, we probably have another 3.5 years to go. No, I'm kidding.
Well, Oscar Pereira has him playing pretty damn well right now. And we'll see how long Daryl DK is on this club, too, because, again, there's a lot of rumors right now swirling of him actually moving clubs, which, I got to be honest, man, even if he does get up and leave, that team is still potent in a top 5 club in the MLS.
Yeah, and if they get the price tag they're asking for about $20 million, if he goes over to Europe, that's a lot of money, a lot of play money there. And what Orlando is probably, if I recall correctly, like $6 million or something under our salary cap. So they're not even really using all their funds or anything. So that could be a very, very scary situation for sure. The one thing that really stuck out to me was especially like that first 10 minutes were just beautiful. That first half was phenomenal. I was really impressed by the effectiveness of the high press, of our press really up and down the field, of our ability to maintain possession and not freak out and just kick out a long ball, but actually everyone was playing for each other. And then the one thing that I really have been wanting to see since this team played its first game was goals from outside the box. It seems nobody really wants to take a chance. Everyone only wants to shoot when they're inside that 18-yard box, but not my man Gonzalo Higuain. No. He came on. He was subbed on, created some beautiful space, and honestly, I think it was Junior Urso and maybe Pereira didn't really press him too much, and then he just had to go from fairly deep across the goal and snuck it in past the keeper for. And at that point, we were behind the goal. So we saw that come at us. And I mean, it was probably 1.5 seconds later where my whole body was nearly covered in beer by the fans.
You always look at me and I'm like, dude, let it fly.
I'm just like, here it is, man. No, it feels good. Like, I'm not even against it. I wish that I could go home covered in beer and a winner, you know, and not just go home a loser covered in beer. But whatever. It was a blast, absolute fun time from the stadium. And I've isolated that clip. So let's go ahead and run through the clip. Now, to be fair, this game was on national television. So we didn't have Andres or we didn't have Ray Hudson or Kalen commentating. So this isn't the home feeling that we love, but still, regardless, nice.
The spin by Chapman. The Argentinian Higuain fires low. Goal! 1-0 Miami. What an introduction to the game there. We were talking about Miami doing all the things well in this game, from the press to the intensity, to the attitude, the right mentality coming into this game. Look at the crowd, what this means to these fans. But Higuain, he's come into this game and he's added that little bit of quality that they were lacking in the final third. And it actually comes from an area where it seems pretty comfortable. A good 30 yards out. There's no press on the ball. Skips by a couple passive defenders, Urso and Perea. No one really applies too much pressure to him, and he says, you know what, you're going to give me this chance, give me this opportunity. It's a quality strike. He picks out his corner. Austin has a good look at it, but it's into that side netting beyond the outstretched arms, and this is exactly what Miami needed. They needed that quality. Gonzalo Higuain comes off the bench and gives some life, gives some joy to these Miami fans.
Well, you can tell what the goal meant to him and also to his teammates and these fans. That's big for him.
An absolute worm burner by Gonzalo Higuain to put the ball behind Brandon Austin, who was stepping in for Galicia this game. It was an absolute beauty of a shot, and Jay is absolutely right. It was our first of the season outside of the box, and although that may sound a little bit negative on Inter Miami's part, it's really in par with a lot of the rest of the teams here in the MLS. Really, half of them either have 0 or 1 goal from outside the box, with only a couple more.
That's a deep level statistic right there, buddy. Level two, buddy. Level 2. Now let's kind of remove ourselves from that moment of pure excitement where we're like, holy crap, man, like, we're going to do this. I mean, we watched the first half, but the team just came out with a different type of energy. And this is really the first glimpse, I think, that we've seen of what the team could be this season with these pieces in place. I mean, the I don't want to call them the reserves, right? But obviously Chapman, Shea, Carranza all stepped up massively when we needed them. And then we got on Pizarro and Gonzalo in the second half, and they just ignited everything even more. It really felt like we're going to defend, this house, and we're going to go successfully 3 times consecutively playing Orlando City in DRV PNK Stadium. But there is a world-class, one of the best to do it, who came from Manchester United. We're talking about Nani. This man is an absolute machine. Phil Neville probably has nightmares of practicing with Nani. Knows him very, very well from being teammates for so many years. But both goals were in effect because of Nani. Very, very tough. The first one to draw even came off. Nani made a beautiful run down the right, got an assist out the back, and just brought it down. And on the first touch, just crossed it right across the box to an open Chris Mueller, who is one of the probably best young up-and-coming American talents that the United States has right now. And he just blasts this thing in one time. Beautiful, beautiful goal. Not much McCarthy could do. I mean, he could have jumped a little better, but that's such a quick goal. Very, very tough to react in time. And then the second one, which was, really at the 80th minute, towards the end of the game, was unfortunately by Nani, and he was on the left-hand side, just came up right on that corner of the 18-yard box and just ripped a beautiful curler that McCarthy couldn't do anything about. I don't know many keepers that really could stop that. It just speaks to the class of Nani. But, here we are kind of played. We technically can't say it was 5 minutes after scoring that we conceded because it was technically 6 minutes. But are we going to go down this road again? Is this what we're going to do, where we just kind of score, lose our heads, and then they equalize, and then, of course, we lose the game, and then 10 minutes left, trying everything we can to draw it level, but just fall short?
Old habits just sprouting its ugly little face up again. We were doing really well with this over the entire season, and that was a glaring weakness that we had last year that we've corrected under Phil Neville's regime here. And Jay's right. Gonzalo's goal came at the 67th minute. Mueller was at the 73rd, and then Nani was at the 80th minute. So all these goals happened over the course of 13 minutes. The rest of the match, incredibly well fought, and it was great to see the club out there giving as much passion and enthusiasm behind it as possible. And honestly, Jay, as we talk about the goals that were given up, unfortunately, 6 shots on target were the statistics that you had mentioned a few minutes ago, and hard for John McCarthy on this one. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Both of these goals were very difficult saves. No matter who's in between the posts, doesn't really matter who you put there. Those are going to be challenging shots to block. And I guess the one real critique that I had with the one of the two, which was the latter goals, was just Nico's got to close out just a bit more on this. You got to know who you're guarding, and this is Nani, right? This is not just one of the leading goal scorers in the MLS, but this is a world-renowned player who has spent his entire career in the spotlight, playing with clubs like Manchester United and having that big, light just on him the entire time. And really, that's when you got to step up and know who you're playing and know your assignment, and also do your homework on, watching game tape and film. You know that this is his time to shine. Every single time that seems like we get in trouble is at the foot of Nani has some type of impact on it.
Yeah, he's not going to fold under pressure. He's had tons and tons of big moments. And what's that thing? Like, big time players make big time plays in big time games, right? This man, that's what he does. That's what he was brought in to do. And he just executes. He really does just execute. But hey, overall, comparing the previous 2 games, wow, what an improvement. If we can keep tweaking, if we can give Phil enough time, I can see this team actually being successful under Phil Neville with this squad. I would like to add some additionals, preferably in that number 10 creative midfield role, but hell yeah, we'll take a performance like that against a team that, honestly, I literally thought we were going to get absolutely smoked by.
We have to continue to roll on what's sad enough to say some momentum, and that's crazy to say off of a loss, but this was, in my opinion, the second best game that we played the entire year, right behind our win against the Philadelphia Union, which we just touched on. 6th slot in the MLS currently right now to date in the Supporters Shield race. So that's a tough team. We played Orlando very, very well. And Jay, I got to say, man, the obvious issue that we had in the second half, dude, was just that conditioning again, man. It just seemed like Blaise Matuidi looked a little bit gassed. Orlando certainly had more juice, and I think played a little bit more of a tactical advantage on the coaching side of it. I think that they made some substitutes that really hurt us on the energy side of things and led to the scores board. We were unable to simply match that intensity, and it really hurt us because our first half, although there were no goals scored, we were playing some of the best football we have the entire season, which again is super surprising because, dude, Orlando literally just played. This was the 3rd game that they're playing in 1 week. We had 1 game the entire week and they were on their 3rd. So how the hell are we the tired teams when they're coming off of, these matches throughout the entire week? It just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it's tough. Phil Neville was very high on Blaise Matuidi after this game. Thought it was the best performance he's had this season in an Inter Miami shirt. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating to see. I think I even turned to you at one point in the late first half, and I was like, I don't know how we're going to be able to keep up this energy because we were playing so phenomenal, closing down so quick and making it very, very difficult. I don't even recall a solid chance that Orlando had in the first 10 minutes of the game. We were doing a great job of keeping them in their own half. But this is a continuous thing that we're going to have to figure out a way to resolve throughout the season as we continue to try and get better. Is we have players that aren't 90-minute condition to run like a madman for 90 minutes. And that's what you have to be able to give to win in a competitive league.
And I'm glad you just touched on that, because when we sat down at our seats, actually, by the way, first time sitting in the seats, how'd you like them?
Well, technically they weren't our seats.
Well, we might have been a little bit over trying to make, listen, man, we're still, current pandemic, we got to social distance a little bit.
I mean, my happy spot is where I'm at risk to be covered in beer. I really do enjoy the supporter stands. We'll keep kind of bouncing around.
Yeah, when we did sit down though, the first 15 minutes, and it was glaring. We both looked at each other, and it was awesome to see us put pressure on the ball. Mm-hmm. We were putting pressure on the ball at all levels, and you can tell Orlando was not ready for that. It was a little bit of a tactical change that we made that was clear and evident, and they struggled with that. And gotta say, I'm looking forward to more of that right there. That is just high intensity. That is energy. That's giving a damn. That's playing the match the way that it should be played, and I really hope that we continue to do that.
Yeah, I think there's really only a few teams in the East, and they're kind of coincidentally all at the top of the table that can put up and win games where they're being played against like that. I think if we continue to not only do that but improve upon that, then we'll be a serious threat in the East and could dominate definitely the lower half teams, but really make it competitive for any game, for any team.
Easy there, Racer. We might be able to dominate the bottom two teams, but right now we got to figure out a whole lot, and we don't have much time to figure it out. We have our next match against Montreal. I believe this is technically an away match.
Yeah, so it was always going to be an away match. So I believe even before they moved it away from Drive Pink Stadium, which they decided to move it away because they're doing the preliminary Gold Cup rounds there. So they actually moved it to, we can't go to Canada due to travel restrictions. So it's being held at Red Bulls Arena, which is where the New York Red Bulls play. But even if it was at Drive Pink, it would still technically be an away game, which means that we would still have to buy tickets to it. Even as season ticket holders, you would still have to buy a ticket because this isn't a planned home game.
So this game is going to actually be played up in New York.
This game will actually be played up in New York. A true away game, but the good news is, at least the competition, it's also an away game because they're not home.
It's the old double awayer, but this game is going down on Saturday, July 3rd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will go ahead and take on Montreal, where
Club de Foot.
I know you like that. Montreal is currently sitting in the 9th seed in the East with 13 points, record of 3 wins, 3 losses, and 4 ties. In their last 5 matches, however, they have 2 wins, 2 ties, and 1 loss to their name, and that loss did come to the Whitecaps. Go figure.
It's Canadian rivalry right there, bud. But yeah, they started the season banging. I mean, I watched the opening week, and first off, I was like, wow, that's a beautiful stadium they're playing at. I was like, oh, it's because it's Drive Pink Stadium. But they were coming out strong. They looked great. Last time we played Montreal, we actually ended up losing 2-0. That was not a fun game. We were actually both at that game. It was a home game. That was the whole tenant versus the landlord, and the tenant certainly won. But notably, their starting goalkeeper, Clement Diop, who I actually think is one of the better goalkeepers in the league, he's out this game, as he was out the previous game due to injury. So they actually have their backup, which is James Pantemis, and he won the man of the match in their last game. And after speaking with the Ball is Round Montreal podcast, all of them were very, very high on James and want him to be the new starter and think he can really seize this opportunity. Now, last time we played them, they came out with a 3-4-1-2, and their leading goal scorer is Mason Toye with 3 goals as current, today. But Bjorn Johnson was the one who scored against us twice, and he's also tied with Jordy Mihailovic, both at 2. Now, Bjorn hasn't scored since he played Inter Miami. Montreal has been having some serious issues in their recent games. It was kind of funny because it's a like-minded podcast of wanting, loving your team, but the fact is that they're just playing, poorly. So that was kind of fun just to laugh kind of back and forth together on that. But also notable is Romeo Kyoto is the leading assist man with 3. And keep an eye on Victor Wanyama. He is back. He is playing a little reckless and aggressive. He's got 5 yellow cards. He'd be a great Inter Miami player, I think.
He'd fit right into this team. There's absolutely no doubt. And you know what's wild is Bjorn Johnson. This guy, he was electric last time he played us. He is 6'5", 176. Dude is big as shit. Actually, just checking him out right now on the old Google sphere, and he actually plays for the Norway national team too. So surprised he only has 2 goals, but definitely got to keep an eye on him in this match this weekend.
So fill in this blank, buddy. Inter Miami will beat Montreal if
we scored 2 goals. I think that we have to come out and can we just score 2 goals? Like, when was the last time that we had 2 goals? Maybe like this Cincinnati match when we put in 3. I don't know when the last time we had multiple games.
LA Galaxy, Philadelphia Union.
So, prior to the Cincinnati FC match. So,
it's been a while.
I really think that if we score 2 goals, this team is not that potent on offense, although we were just talking about them. They only have 11 goals to their name. We have 9 on the season, so it's not like they're blowing the team away with a high octane offense. We have to come out. We have to score a goal in the first half, and honestly, I'm assuming this to get tied up. I think we're going to have to get the goal in the back, probably 20 minutes of this to put it away, but we'll see how we play. What about you?
Well, the projection that I gave was actually 2-1 with Inter Miami winning. So I'm right in line with what you're thinking. But for me, I want to see more of what I saw in that first half on Friday night. I think if we can figure out a way to string that together for 90 full minutes, we can beat the best teams in the league. If we can just come out and still see improvements and just have that same energy, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for Montreal to score. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to impose their wills. So this will be very interesting. Does Gonzalez start? Does Pizarro start? Who knows? We will find out very soon.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for us, the road does not get any easier whatsoever. Super high level. Here are the next matches. We are right now smack dab in the toughest part of our schedule this entire year, which is not coming at a good time. We have Montreal this week. We have the New York Red Bulls, which is kind of funny because we're going to be flying back up to New York for that match in Red Bulls Arena. So we're playing Montreal, New York Red Bulls, moving over to the New England Revolution, then playing the Philadelphia Union, right back to another match with Montreal in Fort Lauderdale, and then boom, playing our rival Orlando City in the following preceding game. And then it doesn't get easier. We're going to finish that off with Nashville. So that's an outlook of the next 7 games that we have on our slate.
Well, judging by Friday, if that's the new status quo, if that's what Phil can at least deliver, something similar to that. That doesn't sound that intimidating. Again, as I say all the time, anything can happen in this league, but we got to stop looking for other situations. We just got to look within and get this figured out together, because just to see the joy, the smiles on everyone's face for going up for that 6 minutes and seeing how the team was playing, a lot of that stress or that frustration you could see was being alleviated. Now, did it come right back in 6 minutes? Did it come right back in another 8 minutes after that when Nani scored the game winner? Maybe, probably.
But there was 6 minutes there of happiness.
There was. But I think a lot of people, especially after like the heat of the game when you're walking away, probably woke up the next morning or had thoughts today or something like that. Like, wow, that was definitely an improvement from what we've been seeing. Because every week, it seems like we're at our lowest point, then we just seem to follow it up with an even worse performance. So this was the first one. And I mean, if you can even count the FC Cincinnati game, they're so bad. It's hard to really be high on them. But this is probably the first time we've really seen a significant good thing occur since, I'd say, the Philadelphia win.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's one variable that led to your emotional state on Saturday morning, and that was just, did you go to Miscues or not?
Yeah.
If you went to Miscues, you were in a dark space for the next 48 hours.
I was just like, bro, I was on my couch for so long.
Bro, this is the worst. So the next day I wake up, I didn't know that I had to go to a movie. So Sherry tells me that I have to go to a movie. The movie is in Weston. So it's about 30 minutes away or so. So what do? What's the next question that's obviously going to get asked? What movie are we going to go see? Mm-hmm. Fast and the Furious 9.
Oh, great.
Exactly what kind of roller coaster I want to go to as I'm, about contemplating my life. So I get
And
there.
we need you to drive.
Yeah, right. There's the catcher. So then I get there. I'm like, listen, this isn't gonna be that bad. I'm gonna get a nice little slushie. I got a wild cherry and some popcorn. Sit down. Come to realize, these chairs actually rock and they go with the jolting motion of the movie.
No
So now
way.
your boy is strapped in to this death cart for the next 2 hours watching Vin Diesel.
Probably just sweating. Just pure vodka.
Terrible. So
Man.
and with that,
Well, I mean, at least everything is bringing a smile to my face to where my cheeks are hurting just hearing some of these recaps.
oh boy. And with that, it is the end of our show. We thank you for swinging by. Thank you for joining us. If you like this episode, go ahead and give us 5 stars on Apple Reviews. We would greatly appreciate it. And if you're an Apple Podcast fan, if you're a Spotify fan, or anyone in between, go ahead and click that subscribe button to not miss an episode. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at Inter Miami Podcast, but Twitter is Enter MIA Podcast. Check us out. Pink Smoke, Discord links, all on the episode bio, the description of this episode. Go ahead, click it, free to join, do your thing. And like we end every episode, Vamos Miami.
Vamos, Miami.